Long before the world knew the name Mike Tyson, there was only a small boy growing up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, a neighborhood where hardship was a daily reality and safety was never guaranteed. Tyson's childhood unfolded in an environment shaped by poverty, instability, and constant exposure to struggle. He often felt invisible, unwanted, and unsure of where he belonged. School offered little comfort, and the streets offered even less mercy. Survival required alertness, toughness, and an ability to adapt quickly. Yet beneath the hardened exterior was a deeply sensitive child who longed for protection, guidance, and love. He experienced isolation at an early age, learning to rely on himself long before he was ready. Those early years planted emotional seeds that would later grow into both his strength and his greatest challenges. The world would come to see power, but few understood the fragile foundation on which it was built. Early pain and silent battles. Tyson's early life was marked by confusion and emotional wounds that no child should have to carry alone. He struggled with bullying, neglect, and a deep sense of worthlessness that followed him into adolescence. Fear became a constant companion, shaping how he saw the world and himself. He learned to mask vulnerability with anger, believing it was safer to be feared than hurt. Each day was a test of endurance, not in pursuit of success, but simply to make it through. The pain he carried had no outlet, no language, and no guide. It remained trapped inside, slowly shaping his identity. Even as a young boy, Tyson possessed an intensity that hinted at something greater, though it was tangled in confusion and unresolved hurt. These early emotional scars would later fuel both his rise and his struggles, becoming inseparable from his journey. Discovering boxing entered Tyson's life as an unexpected doorway to possibility. What began as curiosity quickly became a refuge, a place where structure replaced chaos and effort had meaning. The gym became a sanctuary, offering routine, discipline, and a sense of belonging he had never known. Inside the ropes, he found clarity. Each movement had purpose, each punch required focus. Boxing gave him something rare: direction. For the first time, Tyson felt capable of becoming someone other than the frightened child he had always been. The sport didn't erase his pain, but it gave him a way to express it. Slowly, he began to understand that his intensity could be transformed into skill. In that small, gritty gym, a future began to take shape, though Tyson himself could not yet imagine how far it would reach. The arrival of Cus D'Amato. Everything changed when Tyson met Cus D'Amato, a trainer who saw beyond his rough exterior. Cus recognized not only Tyson's physical ability, but also the emotional wounds driving him. More importantly, Cus believed in him at a time when Tyson had never truly believed in himself. Their bond extended far beyond boxing. Cus became a mentor, a teacher, and a father figure. He spoke to Tyson about discipline, self-respect, and purpose. He taught him that fear could be faced rather than avoided, and that greatness began in the mind. Under Cus's guidance, Tyson began to grow into his potential. The angry boy found structure, the lost child found direction, and the fighter found identity. For the first time, Tyson felt seen and valued, and that belief changed everything. A new sense of family. For Tyson, Cus D'Amato represented more than professional guidance. He represented family. Cus provided stability, boundaries, and consistency, things Tyson had never experienced before. He created an environment where Tyson could feel safe enough to dream. Meals, conversations, training sessions, and long talks about life became part of a routine that grounded him. This sense of belonging filled a deep emotional void. Tyson began to trust, perhaps for the first time. That trust fueled his dedication. He trained with relentless focus, determined not to disappoint the man who had invested so much in him. Under Cus's care, Tyson learned that he mattered, that his life had value. This emotional foundation became the cornerstone of his rise, shaping both his confidence and his identity as a fighter. The loss that shattered stability. Just as Tyson was beginning to feel secure, tragedy struck. Cus D'Amato passed away, leaving Tyson devastated. The man who had become his emotional anchor was suddenly gone. Tyson was still young, still forming, and suddenly faced the world without the one person who truly understood him. The loss reopened old wounds of abandonment and instability. Though his boxing career continued to accelerate, emotionally he felt lost. He carried grief quietly, unsure how to process it. Without Cus, Tyson struggled to regulate his emotions and decision-making. The structure that had kept him balanced began to weaken. While the world saw a rising star, Tyson felt increasingly alone. This unresolved grief would quietly follow him, influencing many of the choices he would later make. Becoming a champion. At just 20 years old, Tyson achieved what few had ever done, becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in history. The moment was historic, and the world was captivated. Fans saw raw power, speed, and dominance unlike anything before. Headlines celebrated a new era in boxing. Yet behind the glory was a young man still grieving, still searching for guidance. The championship belt did not bring emotional security. It did not replace the father figure he had lost. Instead, it added pressure. Tyson was suddenly expected to carry the image of invincibility while internally feeling fragile. The contrast between his public image and private reality grew sharper. He was a champion in the ring, but still a wounded child in many ways. Fame and isolation. Fame arrived fast and intensely. Tyson became one of the most recognizable faces in the world. Money, attention, and opportunity surrounded him. But fame did not bring peace. It often amplified his loneliness. People entered his life with promises of loyalty, yet many were motivated by self-interest. Tyson struggled to discern who truly cared for him. The lack of trustworthy guidance left him vulnerable. He had resources, but little emotional support. The expectations placed on him felt overwhelming. The boy who once searched for belonging now found himself more isolated than ever. Fame magnified everything: his success, his fears, and his unresolved pain. Relationships and confusion. Tyson longed for connection, but relationships often became complicated. He wanted love, stability, and understanding, yet lacked the tools to maintain healthy bonds. His early experiences had never taught him how to communicate emotions safely. Misunderstandings and emotional turbulence became common. Public scrutiny only made things harder. Personal struggles were broadcast to the world, leaving little room for privacy or healing. Tyson often felt misunderstood, portrayed through simplified narratives that ignored his inner battles. These relationship challenges deepened his sense of failure and confusion, reinforcing the belief that he was broken. Facing consequences. When Mike Tyson faced legal consequences in the early 1990s, the trajectory of his life shifted in a way nothing else ever had. Prison removed every layer of identity he had relied on: champion, celebrity, and untouchable icon. Inside those walls, there were no crowds, no spotlight, and no distractions to hide behind. For the first time in years, Tyson had to confront silence and sit with his thoughts. The experience was deeply humbling and often painful, forcing him to acknowledge choices he had long avoided examining. He began to recognize patterns in his behavior, seeing how anger, impulsivity, and unresolved childhood trauma had quietly guided many of his decisions. This awareness was uncomfortable, but it planted the first seeds of accountability. Prison became an unforgiving classroom, one that taught lessons about responsibility, self-awareness, and consequence in ways fame never could. Return with heavy baggage. When Tyson returned to boxing after his release, he carried far more than gloves and ambition. He returned with emotional weight, unresolved grief, and a deep sense of uncertainty about who he had become. The fighter who stepped back into the ring was not the fearless young champion the world once knew. The fire still existed, but it burned alongside confusion and exhaustion. Tyson wanted redemption, yet he did not fully understand what redemption meant for him. Was it another championship, public forgiveness, or inner peace? The pressure to reclaim his former dominance was immense, coming from fans, promoters, and himself. Inside, he still wrestled with anger, sadness, and self-doubt. Moments of instability reflected battles that were happening beneath the surface. The world saw flaws. Tyson felt wounds, public moments, and private pain. Highly publicized incidents became permanent chapters in Tyson's story, often overshadowing everything else he tried to accomplish. To outsiders, these moments looked like self-destruction or lack of discipline. To Tyson, they were eruptions of years of suppressed emotion. Each mistake intensified his shame and reinforced the belief that he was broken beyond repair. He felt trapped inside a narrative that painted him as a monster, leaving little space for growth or nuance. The harsher the criticism became, the more he withdrew emotionally, retreating into isolation. Yet behind the headlines was a man desperately searching for understanding, both from others and from himself. He wanted peace, but did not yet know how to achieve it. The disconnect between who he was and who the world believed him to be became another heavy burden he carried. Financial collapse. Despite earning hundreds of millions of dollars, Tyson eventually faced financial ruin. Poor financial guidance, reckless spending, and misplaced trust combined to create a perfect storm. Bankruptcy was not just a monetary loss, it was a psychological shock. Money had long served as a symbol of success and security, even though it never truly provided either. Losing it forced Tyson to confront painful questions about his relationship with wealth, power, and self-worth. He realized that he had often used spending as a way to fill emotional emptiness. Without financial status to lean on, he had to face himself more honestly. This period was frightening and humiliating, but it also stripped away illusions. It became another opportunity to rebuild not from abundance, but from awareness and humility. Struggles with addiction. In moments of deep despair, Tyson turned to substances as a way to escape his emotional pain. What began as an attempt to numb discomfort gradually became a destructive cycle. Addiction offered temporary relief, but always left deeper wounds in its wake. Tyson later acknowledged that he was trying to silence memories, fears, and grief he never learned how to process. Facing this truth was one of the most painful realizations of his life. It meant accepting that he could no longer blame circumstances alone. Recovery required honesty, discipline, and a willingness to feel emotions he had avoided for decades. Though the journey was difficult and imperfect, choosing sobriety marked a powerful step toward self-respect and healing. It was not about becoming perfect, but about becoming present. A father's greatest loss. Nothing in Tyson's life compared to the devastation he felt when he lost his young daughter in 2009. The grief was overwhelming, shattering any remaining emotional defenses he had built. No championship, fortune, or reputation could shield him from that level of pain. For a man who had spent most of his life running from vulnerability, this loss forced him to confront it head-on. He could not fight it, outrun it, or numb it away. He had to feel it. The sorrow was heavy, constant, and life-altering. Yet within that unimaginable pain, Tyson began to understand the depth of love and the importance of presence. This tragedy became a turning point, pushing him toward deeper introspection and a more honest relationship with his emotions. Choosing healing. After enduring profound loss, Tyson made a conscious decision to seek healing rather than destruction. Therapy, recovery programs, and self-reflection became essential parts of his life. He began to examine his past, not with self-hatred, but with curiosity and compassion. Instead of denying his mistakes, he started to acknowledge them and learn from them. Healing was not a straight path. There were setbacks, moments of doubt, and periods of frustration, but there was also growth. Slowly, Tyson began to build healthier coping mechanisms and a more stable sense of identity. He learned that healing was not about erasing the past, but about understanding it and choosing different responses in the present. Finding his voice. As Tyson grew more comfortable with himself, he began to share his story publicly in a new way, not as an untouchable legend, but as a flawed human being. Through interviews, stage performances, and honest conversations, he spoke openly about trauma, regret, and growth. This transparency surprised many who only knew the fierce persona of his fighting years. Audiences saw humor, vulnerability, and reflection. Tyson discovered that telling his truth was freeing. It allowed him to reclaim his narrative instead of being defined solely by headlines. More importantly, it helped him see himself as more than his worst mistakes. Finding his voice became an act of self-acceptance. Redefining strength. Aging forced Tyson to confront physical limitations that once seemed unimaginable. His body no longer moved the way it once did, and he accepted that reality with a new perspective. Strength, he realized, was not just about power or dominance. It was about consistency, self-control, and emotional honesty. Training became less about proving superiority and more about maintaining health and balance. Movement became therapy, a way to stay connected to himself. Tyson learned that real strength lies in adaptation and perseverance. It is found in showing up, even when things are difficult, and continuing to try. A complex legacy. Mike Tyson's legacy cannot be captured in a single narrative. He is both one of the most gifted fighters in boxing history and a man who made serious mistakes. His life reflects contradiction, brilliance and chaos, success and suffering, destruction and growth. Yet beneath it all is a story of survival. Tyson's journey illustrates that people are capable of change, even after immense failure. His willingness to confront his past and speak honestly about it has added depth to his legacy. It is no longer just about knockouts and titles, but about accountability, resilience, and transformation. The man today. Today, Mike Tyson continues to evolve. He approaches life with greater awareness and humility than ever before. He speaks openly about his struggles, accepts responsibility for his actions, and strives for peace. He is not chasing perfection or trying to erase his past. Instead, he focuses on living more honestly in the present. Tyson is no longer defined solely by championships or controversies. He is defined by his willingness to grow. His greatest victory is not something that can be measured in a ring. It is the courage to face himself, learn from his pain, and continue moving forward.